Good morning everyone. Today's video is going to be my top tips for breastfeeding. Thank you. This is Noah's sign for milk, so I'm gonna go ahead and feed him. He is ready for it. So I thought I'd do a video on my top tips on breastfeeding. I am a mum of 4. My eldest is 9 years old, almost 10. She will be 10 this year, which is really scary. But yeah, and my youngest is 16 months old, which is Noah. I'm currently still mixed feeding Noah. We are trying to wean him due to health reasons on my part. So we are currently in the process of weaning him. He is mixed feeding formula. He has about 3 or 4 bottles a day and then breastfeeds maybe once or twice. So yeah, that is currently where I'm at. So I am a little experienced, in no way an expert. Don't you just love this stage where they play with your face? I will definitely miss this. But anyway, I am no way an expert. And of course always follow your doctor's advice. Tip number 1 is definitely in the first few days of breastfeeding to make sure you have the correct latch. You definitely do not want to start out with an incorrect latch because it can be a lot more painful. Generally, breastfeeding is uncomfortable for the first couple of weeks. But once you get past that, you know, it is all good stuff, mostly. There is definitely struggles. I'm going to put him down because he has had enough. So yeah, it's definitely important to get a really good latch. All of my kids have been pretty good at getting a good latch. Except for Noah. So he is my last, like I said, he's my 4th baby. And because he has both a lip and tongue tie, it's not too severe. Like we never had it cut or anything, but he does have a lip and tongue tie. So the first few days was a bit of a struggle because yeah, he was not latching properly, but after the first few days, and we both figured out like good positions for his certain mouth, yeah, it was good from there. So it's definitely my number 1 tip to make sure that they are latched properly. You can Google lots of images of the proper latch and what it should look like, and even videos on that. It's a bit hard for me to do it with Noah as he is not a newborn anymore. So it's a bit hard for me to show a proper latch because he doesn't really drink anymore. He mainly just comfort nurses, and that's not the same as a newborn. So definitely YouTube correct latches. I will look for a couple myself and I will try and link them down below. My number 2 tip is to make sure you work out what breastfeeding positions work for you and your baby. There are a whole different range of breastfeeding positions that you can try out and find which works for both your baby and yourself. My favorite within the first couple weeks is definitely sitting up, propped up on 2 pillows. And holding them in the cradle position, and the typical breastfeeding position. That is nice when you first start out and you're in hospital. Also, my top favorite is laying down. I will get a clip of that with Noah when he comes back, and I will insert that here. You set my world on fire. So laying down is pretty beneficial, especially for those first few weeks, because you know you get to lay down, relax, it's comfortable, it's not so hard on your body or on your back. Typically breastfeeding takes a toll on your body and your back and your neck, like leaning and holding and supporting with your arms. So the laying down position can definitely help with that, because obviously you're relaxed and you're laying down comfortable with your baby. I'm a big supporter of co-sleeping, and I know it's not for everyone, and a lot of people don't recommend it because of SIDS and everything. Co-sleeping has always worked for me and my babies. From the moment they have come home from the hospital, we have co-slept, and it has helped my milk supply, helped me get more sleep, and helped my babies get more sleep. So, but depending on your situation, you might not want to do that. A lot of people get their bassinets attached to the side of the bed, which are also good too. But for my personal experience, co-sleeping helps my milk supply. It also, obviously, like I mentioned, it helps with sleep, because you do get a better sleep. And when you get a little more experienced, it's super easy, for me anyway, to just lay down, nurse the baby and go back to sleep and just leave them nursing. I have spent lots and lots of hours in that position, and it has definitely helped sleep wise and milk production wise. So definitely recommend the laying down position. There are also other positions. It's going to be hard for me to show this because Noah doesn't really do those positions anymore, but I'll go I'll get a baby doll. That's what I will do. Okay, I have my baby. So pretend this is real. Like I said before, one of the most common, hang on, let me move back a little bit. One of the most common breastfeeding positions is this position. It's super, it's one of the most comfortable ones, but as long as you are supporting your back, so make sure you are leaning up against a chair, lounge, or if you're sitting in bed, make sure you have propped up cushions and they're comfy. So the next position is what people call the football hold. So if you get a breastfeeding pillow or any pillow, you can support your baby to put the pillows underneath. Have it under there and feed the baby that way. That can also be comfortable. I never really have done this position, but I know a lot of people do like it. And this position is also helpful with twins. So a lot of people that I've seen with twins have the pillow underneath, the breastfeeding pillow, and then they will put one baby here and then one baby on the other side facing that way. So if you have twins, that will be helpful also. Luckily, I mean, I shouldn't say luckily, I know a lot of people love twins, but me personally, I've never wanted to have twins. I just feel like I would not cope with twins. I honestly do not know how people do it. And if you have twins, I pat on the back to you, because you are definitely super mum. And when your baby does get older, trust me, they will figure out lots more ways of feeding, including this. There will be quite a lot of interesting positions that your baby will figure out. Noah currently thinks he's a gymnast while he is breastfeeding and has one foot up in the air. But anyway, when they are newborns, that is definitely the best age to breastfeed, because they're still for the most part, and they stay in the position that you put them in. So that is a few positions that I recommend and that I have found most comfortable for me. My next tip will be to make sure you keep hydrated and keep snacking. So snack more regularly than you would usually. My top suggestion is to always carry a water bottle with you, and definitely have water with you when you sit down to nurse, whether it be in a bottle, a cup of water, and make sure as you're feeding to sip throughout and make sure you stay hydrated. As snacking goes, while you're breastfeeding, you will burn around 500 calories a day. So you need to make sure that you are keeping up with your calories, keeping up those snacking, and make sure that you are doing that, because if you keep up with water and snacking, you will ensure that you keep producing milk for your baby, and that your milk will keep flowing as your baby needs it. The easiest thing for me when I had my babies, like especially with Noah, I was much more prepared than my other babies. With my first, I did not really keep up with water or snacking. I was 18 years old and I was not set in a, let's say, healthy mindset. I ate quite poorly, and I barely drank water when I was 18. But in saying that, I did also have a successful breastfeeding journey with her. I breastfed her up until she was almost 1. I did start formula mixed feeding for the first few days because I was a new mum and I was worried about my supply, which I will get into later. But yeah, with my others, I was more prepared, especially with Noah. I was most prepared. I had a little trolley that I got from IKEA next to my bed, of the 3-tier trolleys, and I had it full with all of his stuff that he needed, all of the stuff that I needed, breast pads, everything, and then in the top I had my snacks, a water bottle, and things like that. So I included like nut bars, breakfast bars, like healthy snacks, like nuts and everything like that. I made sure I always had them beside my bed, which is where I typically breastfed because I was living with my brother at the time. So most of the time I breastfed when he was a newborn, in my bedroom. So I always had that trolley with me and I could wheel it around as I needed it. So I always had healthy snacks and plenty of water on hand. My next tip is to feed on demand. I know a lot of people, especially first-time parents, will do a tight schedule, a tight feeding schedule every couple hours on the dot, wake the baby up, feed them through the 24-hour period, 24-hour period. For me, I personally wouldn't recommend that. I mean, of course there are exceptions. If you have a preterm baby or a baby with low birth weight, then you will obviously have to follow whatever your doctor recommends. Well, even if it is not a preterm, what's it called? A full-term baby, whatever your doctor recommends on certain circumstances. But for most full-time babies, they, in my opinion, like I am nowhere near an expert or a doctor or anything like that, but from my experience, schedules and timing the feeds, so timing when they're actually latched on, timing that, making a schedule, it all just gets too much. It's way more stressful, in my opinion, and stress can reduce your milk. It won't make it flow as easily. So in my opinion, I recommend feeding on demand. So when the baby is hungry, they will let you know. There are several cues when they start sticking out their tongue, thrashing their head side to side, obviously crying, not crying, but like sucking, are all cues that your baby is hungry, and that I recommend that you should follow the lead of your baby. Obviously, if in those first few days you don't want to let them go too long without eating, so I wouldn't recommend more than 2 to 3 hours when they're a newborn. But once you hit like a few weeks, you can let them go like 3 to 4 hours without feeding. And yeah, just follow their cue. With all of my babies, I have breastfed on demand. So that meant whenever they were hungry, my babies were always really hungry. Some of them didn't even go an hour between nursing, but it was comfort nursing. It wasn't full nursing. which I also recommend comfort nursing, because it can be really helpful to keep them calm, to keep you calm, and especially if you're a first-time mum, having them latched on and nursing them, even for comfort while they're asleep. Honestly, it is no big deal. I know a lot of people say it's going to make them clingy, and that you'll never, you know, get them to stop breastfeeding or whatever. But in my personal opinion, that has not happened with any of my babies. Like I said, currently Noah is weaning, and he has not had a rough time with that at all. Sorry, I had to take a quick intermission because my battery thing come up and it glitched my phone. I don't know what happened, and I thought I lost my footage, but it turns out I didn't, because it just appeared about 10 minutes later. So anyway, Noah is currently 16 months old, and we are weaning him, and we have not had any issues getting him off the breast so far. I mean, we haven't fully finished. As I said, he still breastfeeds 1 or 2 times a day, mainly in the morning when he first wakes up. But yeah, I totally recommend comfort nursing. Another top tip I recommend is, while you are breastfeeding, it is really important to just relax. Try to make it as relaxing environment as you can. Like, sit quietly, do everything you can to relax, just focus on your baby, focus on them feeding, and that will really help with your breast milk to flow. Yeah, like, try not to think about anything else, anything that will stress you out, because when you do get stressed, you know, it can affect your body, your mood, your baby, and your milk supply. My next tip is to make sure you are always supported. I am currently not at the moment because of how my light is, but when you are feeding, make sure you're always trying to sit up as well. If you are sitting, sit up as straight as you can. Make sure you're fully supported, whether that be in a nursing chair, on like a couch, a bed, propped up with pillows. Make sure you have that support. Make sure the breastfeeding pillows can help some people. Me personally, they never really helped me, but I am a bigger person, and the one I had never really fit comfortably. But make sure you always have that support, whether it be some pillows like this, so you can just place them on your knee if you're sitting, or on the bed, and rest your arm on them. Make sure you've always got that support. Another tip is to make sure you have breast pads. For me, when I first had my first baby, breast pads, I knew that I needed them, but I didn't realize how important they would be. So when I had my first, I leaked a lot, because obviously it was new to my body. My milk was still trying to adjust, and typically your milk doesn't regulate until about 6 weeks old. So when your baby is 6 weeks old. So in between that time, it can fluctuate. You can get engorged, they can leak a lot, especially during the night if your baby has random stretches of like longer stretches during the night, and you can wake up full and leak and all that stuff. So breast pads are a really good thing to keep on hand. I had them in the little trolley thing that I had next to my bed. I always had a good stash. I had a mixture of reusable ones and disposable ones. I mainly used in the first couple weeks the disposable ones, just because I had to change them so regularly, and I was still recovering, so I wasn't doing washing every day to wash my reusable ones. But as the weeks went on, I only started using the reusable ones. My next tip will be to make sure you burp your baby. Some people say that breastfed babies don't need to be burped because they don't get the air bubbles in the bottle, and don't gulp in as much air. But breastfeeding babies definitely do need to be burped, just the same as bottle fed babies do. So to make sure that you always burp your breastfed baby. That can also help if you burp them, if you feed them for a little while, and if they're getting uncomfortable, or they might act as though they're full, it can help to burp them. And after they've had a good burp, typically, if they are still hungry, they will latch back on and have a bit more to drink. My next tip, so my tip number 9, I believe, is to make sure in the first couple of weeks, especially, to make sure you have on loose fitting clothes, if not breastfeeding clothes. I don't really tend to wear like the typical breastfeeding clothes, like this shirt has a thing I'm wearing a bra, to lift up, and then you can pull it to the side and pull your bra down, and do it that way. Generally I just pull down on most shirts now because I'm very comfortable with breastfeeding, but they do have a lot of cool things where you can do it discreetly, so you can just pop it out a little bit there. But the first couple of weeks I recommend wearing really loose clothing, whether it be like really loose nighties, pajamas, or even really loose shirts that you own, just so, because you will be nursing a lot in those first couple of weeks, just trying to figure everything out, and your baby trying to figure everything out. You will be nursing a lot, so it can be kind of annoying if you have like tight fitting stuff, and having to breastfeed multiple times within, a couple hours. So I do recommend to get some loose fitting clothing, things that are easily accessible. You can test that when you're in the shop. That's what I used to do. When I used to go to buy breastfeeding clothes, I would test their stretch at the top here. So I would just pull them down a little bit, pull them to the side like that, and see how well they stretched, especially if it wasn't like a categorized as a breastfeeding or maternity shirt or dress or whatever. So always make sure you have some loose fitting clothes. But my 10th tip is to don't stress about how much milk you're producing, or if you are feeding your baby enough. A lot of first-time mums, including myself, like I will say, that I did stress that, which is why I supplemented my firstborn with formula, I believe, for the first day that we were home. So we spent 2 days in hospital, if I can remember correctly, and the third day when we came home, oh no, I think I only spent 1 day there. And the second day when we came home, I was really stressing that she wasn't eating enough, and so many things were going on. So I did formula feed her. I believe she only had 2 or 3 bottles of formula, but with the rest of my babies, I didn't do that, because I learnt that, I learnt from experience from my firstborn that your body knows what to do, and as long as you are doing all the right things, you have a correct latch, you're keeping hydrated, eating enough calories, doing everything to support your body to produce milk for you, you will make enough milk. And I know there are certain circumstances that people do not produce enough milk, but most of the time your body will know what to do. But if you are worried about that, then a good way is to keep track of how many wet diapers your baby is going through within a 24-hour period. So I forget how many they should do the first few days. I think it's like you measure how many days they are compared, but after day 5, your newborn should be wetting 5+ diapers a day, and then pooping in between 2 and 3 times a day. So that's in between 5 days and then 6 weeks. So in between that period, which is generally when your body is adjusting the most, your baby should be making 5+ wet diapers during the day, like 24-hour period, and then 2 to 3 poopy diapers. And then as long as your baby is doing that, that is a good indication. And also you can judge that by your baby's weight. So every time you have your appointment with your doctor or pediatrician or whoever you see to do your baby's checkup, each visit will indicate their weight gain or weight loss, and that can be an indication if they're getting enough milk and if you are producing enough milk. So as long as those things are happening, so you're keeping track of their nappies and poops, and they are gaining weight, then you are good to go. Your body knows what to do, and I can't stress enough that stressing about it won't work in your favor. It'll only make things worse. So try and relax on that part, and just trust your body and trust that it knows what to do. Trust your baby knows what to do. Your baby will eat if it's hungry. And yeah, breastfeeding is truly a beautiful experience. I'm really sad that mine is coming to an end, and he is my last baby. I have been breastfeeding on and off for the past, how many years? 9 years. So I breastfed my first, so like I said before, for almost a year. My second, I breastfed for almost 2 years. It come close to 2 years. My third, almost 2 years. And then my fourth, like I said, he is 16 months old, and we are weaning him. Starting to wean him now, and he probably won't be breastfeeding within the next couple of weeks due to health reasons. But I would have liked to go to 2 years old, but like I said, because of health reasons, I'm going to have to stop early. So I've had quite many years breastfeeding, and it's been so helpful. It really does help make things a lot easier. You don't have to keep track of bottles. It saves money because you don't have to buy formula. You don't really have to get up during the nights, depending on your co-sleeping situation, depending on your baby's sleeping situation. If you're co-sleeping, you don't have to get up. But obviously if your baby is in a bassinet or cot, then you will. But even still, you don't have to get up, make bottles, wash bottles, and do all that during the night. So I hope this has helped someone, and especially first-time mums coming from an experienced mum to a new mum, or even any mum. They're just some tips that I would like to share before I end my breastfeeding journey. Yeah, so I hope it helped someone. Good luck for your breastfeeding journey. I can't stress enough, don't give up. Those first couple weeks are hard. I have personally been through cracked nipples, bleeding nipples, all of that, through the pain, through the emotions, crying, wanting to give up. But I promise, if you stick to it, it will be so rewarding for not just you, but your baby as well. So yeah, just stick to it. You can do it. So yeah, this will be the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new, and if you do, I will see you next time.